In this video, I'm going to discuss one of the ways in which people invalidate others and one of the ways in which people feel invalidated. Now, I'm going to label or name this phenomenon as the pull. So P-U-L-L, the pull. Now, in this situation, well, let's back up for a second. Once again, validation is the phenomenon that allows for an individual to have space to feel what they feel. So when we validate someone, we don't project our belief systems or ideas and the ways that we think how things should be onto a person's feelings and experiences. So when we invalidate someone, what happens is whatever that person feels or experiences, we reduce it to what we think it should be, or we rush them through their emotions. So validation is therefore not necessarily acknowledging as true what the person feels, but true that the person feels. Okay? And so the pull is one way in which people invalidate others' experiences accidentally. Okay? So let's say I'm having a conversation with a friend, okay? And I read a philosophy. Let's say I read about Seneca. And I read about how Seneca talks about how life is only short if you waste your time. And you realize that it's short because you look back on your life and you wasted so much time. But in fact, life can be long if you use your time wisely. So I go out into public, right? And I'm having a conversation with a group of friends. And I say, I just read Seneca. And he was talking about how life is short only if we make it short. Now, after saying this, the friend in front of me says, Seneca, I love Seneca. In fact, I read Seneca the other day. Seneca says this, and to me, that's really important because of this. Now, what just happened there? In that type of a conversation, your initial attempt to express yourself through what you're saying was invalidated accidentally by someone else just talking about themselves. Now, this happens a lot. Whether you like to express what animals you like, what cars you like, what people you like, what ideas you like, whatever it is, anything that you express in a social situation that another person does not acknowledge, but specifically does not acknowledge by just going ahead and talking about themselves and what they like to do and expanding on the topic but not acknowledging what you said about the topic and your relationship with that topic, that is known as the pull. Now, this is invalidating because your initial attempt to talk about the meaningfulness of something that you're presenting or your experience with it is not acknowledged. And this is a very subtle thing that happens in public. But what happens is our attention is drawn away from our experience of invalidation and pulled to their experience of that particular thing that you brought up. So if you're a nice person, you'll start listening to them like, oh, wow, like that's really cool. And you'll forget about what you brought up. And this, if you pay attention, there's a slight feeling of not emptiness or loneliness, but there's a slight feeling of my experience wasn't heard. Like what happened to this thing that I just produced into reality, right? Into the situation. What happened to that? and now it's being taken into someone else's experience. So when it is taken into someone else's experience, your relationship of it is being undermined. Not by disagreement, but by a lack of acknowledgement. And now, this is a subtle thing that is happening. It's subtle. It's very subtle. Now, one criticism to the poll is that that person who is responding to you and talking about themselves is just relating to you. So if I go and I say, I really like this car, or I really like this color on this wall, right? This paint color. And the other person goes, oh my God, like I love that too. Like the other day, like I painted it like this, and that person, did this and that and blah, blah. That's their way of relating to you. Could in fact be that people relate to each other just by talking about themselves in response to what someone else said. Could be. Fair enough. But once again, the focus is on the person who is speaking, not on you. Not on, well, I wasn't trying to invalidate them. I was just trying to relate to them. Okay, good job. But the thing is that if you want to really validate what the other person is experiencing, you acknowledge their relationship to that. So the fact of the matter is that one can relate to another by talking about their own experiences. That is very important also in psychological settings when there's self-disclosure. When you're talking to someone and they're going through a problem, when you start talking about your own problems in relation to their problems, so they open up and they can also feel loved and related, that in the sense that someone else went through a similar thing. But there's always timing in a conversation. When the first thing that you say is to bring attention, you pull the attention to your own experiences, that results in invalidating the other person's experiences. However, if you validate the other person's experiences, acknowledge that they have said a particular thing, and then go on to talk about what you have experienced, you're not pulling anymore. In fact, you're just making the conversation very effective and getting to an understanding with the other person. So to keep focus, why I'm making these videos is because this happens a lot. And a lot of communication just goes wasted. It's ineffective. And to enhance communication, to understand people, and to bring awareness to this, I really want to bring awareness to how these things happen. And for the people who are aware that these things are happening, I just want to make videos so that they can relate to this. The people who are really aware in conversations that, or in experiences that, what are people doing? What are they saying? Why are they responding that way? Why are they bringing attention to themselves when I'm talking about this particular topic? To know when this is happening and to pull yourself away from it, get away from it, because that leads to unproductive conversations, waste of your time, energy. You can direct that somewhere else. So when you can acknowledge in the moments in your life where you're feeling invalidated, or people are invalidating you or not understanding you, or things like this, like, okay, I don't need to put my energy into this. I can pull away from this and see that it's happening, and then go elsewhere in my life and interact with different types of people or do different types of things. But when you get stuck in a situation where this keeps happening and you don't understand what's happening, and you're having conversations with people and everybody around you is constantly talking about themselves and pulling the information that you're saying towards their own experiences, that's when you know through awareness that you need to pull away from these situations, and you become more productive as a person. And you don't get caught up in other people's lives. That's the key thing. if you have a life of your own and you want to have a life of your own and you want to experience things through you and not through someone else, then it's important to acknowledge these things, because people can often act self-centered and talk about themselves and accidentally pull you in. And so what you want to do is you want to acknowledge that the things that I'm saying are just as important and the things that I'm feeling are just as important. And so I don't want to waste my time. I want to use my time effectively. And so what I'm saying, if it's not being acknowledged, understood, appreciated, I can redirect my energies elsewhere and be more productive in these situations and not get caught up in a long period of time wasting your time. And so in the next video, I will talk about another way in which people invalidate other people or feel invalidated, so we can continue to have more awareness in these issues. So thanks.